The moderator for the next session is Iyesha Abbas. Iyesha Geeth Abbas has been engaged in research work in audiovisual archives since 2009. Previously, she has worked with Mumbai-based Studio Camp and has also been a part of extensive silent cinema research project with historian Veer Chand Dharamse. She currently works at the National Film Archives of India. I request Iyesha ji to kindly come on stage.
I invite Asha Batra ji, founder of Cinemazi, and thank you very much for putting together this symposium, bringing together people from many worlds who are required to meet very urgently right now. And our second panelist is Vaibhav Munjal, co-founder of Chalchitra Talks and also the longest interview ever, has been making accessible a lot of conversations, important conversations on cinema. Since we are in the presence of spaces and also incredible people who have emerged from the gaps that have not been able to be closed by state archives, I think that would be a good place to start. The gaps that have led to both of your endeavors happening. Also in the same breath, I must thank, we must think of, besides incredible historians, song lovers, communities of archivists here, also archivists such as Veer Chand Dharamse, Firoz Rangunwala, B.V. Dharap, people who have built these bridges from inside state archives that lead outside into the world by using material in the archives. Also digital communities such as Bengal Film Archive, Malayalam Sangeetam Info, digital archival communities that are working on cinemas other than Bombay cinema also. Thinking of all of that, I think this would be a good place to start. The gaps that led you guys to begin Cinemazi in your case, and in your case, Chalchitra Talks also.
Thank you, Aisha. Where do I begin with? Because Cinemazi is not it's not actually started like an archive. It was actually started like a passion. And we started collecting the cinema memorabilias, and we all know, whoever is sitting in this or today's audience, that cinema in today's time, not even like 50%, or I would say a little more than 50% is right now available in the form of prints. Most of them are still in the form of memories and memorabilias. Because, and then these memorabilias which documents a lot of history, these history is something which we thought would be very interesting if we document that part of the memories. Of course, cinema is a major part of the cinema is basically to do with the print, the whole experience of seeing film, but at the same time, there is a very intangible thing which is attached to cinema, which is its memory and the cinema experience. All these memories which is there are stored in the memorabilias. And all these memorabilia can be made alive only when we attach memories to these memorabilias. So this is a very interesting bridge which is there between a memory and a memorabilia. And that's the point which we thought would be the best thing for us, because it never started like a archive as such. We at Cinemazi, we started collecting, we were collectors, we just found that there are beautiful pictures which we need to collect, and we started collecting. And as we started collecting, we realized that there is so much of information in these materials which needs to be documented. And that's how the whole process of Cinemazi, documentation, the encyclopedia, the cinema memory projects, and the other things started with it. So that's how the whole process started. We are not archivists. As you everybody know, we are like lawyers by profession. So we earn our money and other things from our different stream of business which we have. But this has been, and cinema, we all are passionate about cinema. We all love films. But the history part of the film is a very academic thing. And that is something which I thought would be very interesting if we take out that thing from the archiving world and take it to the public and connect their memories with these things, so that this whole vast pool of information which we have, which is a memory, memorabilia, cinema, the whole society, wherein 110 years of history has been recorded, not only about the society, about the people who have worked in these films. So this is a very big pool of information. And we all are India is the largest filmmaker. We are the largest film goers also. And still our cinema is very underdocumented. That is the only point which strike to us. And we thought that that is where we should begin, and that's how the Cinemazi started. So I hope I've answered your question.
So, should I tell you about how we started Chalchitra Talks? So, I started Chalchitra Talks because of the fear of missing out. There is a term called as FOMO, and I have done civil engineering back in the day. And I used to go to Mumbai at this company called the Viral Fever, TVF, to intern. And I always wanted to become a filmmaker. In fact, I've just finished working on my first feature film. We are just doing the final edits. But back in the day, during my internship at TVF, they would say names of filmmakers, films. Hey, do you know, like Steve McQueen made this? Do you know, like Bennett Miller made this? And I would be like, who is Bennett Miller? Who is Steve McQueen? And people would stop at the parties to look at me. You don't know who this person is? And I would feel so ashamed and so conscious. I'm like, when I'll go back to my college, I'll be like, hey, if I plan to move to Mumbai, I really need to up my game. And I really need to learn the language of Mumbai, which is films. Then I started watching 2 films a day, 3 films a day in 2015, 2016. And by the year 2018, I had watched some 1,000 films in that time span. And I also started Chalchitra Talks for discipline, because I was a freelance director. And when you are a freelancer or when you are your own boss, you have no one to answer to. So I used to wake up at 12 p.m. when my maid would come in. She would also give me a look, hey, this guy wakes up so late. And so I started creating artificial deadlines for myself. Until date, I have just created artificial deadlines in everything I have done. Like, I'll create a platform where I'll show up every week to recommend 3 films. I started that in 2018 at my house in Andheri East in Mumbai. And then I started getting the people I knew in the industry to come to my place in Andheri East to recommend films. I got Rahul Desai, who writes for Film Companion and The Hollywood Reporter, in one of the first episodes. Then I got Varun Grover. Varun Grover recently said in an interview with me that it was the most depressing house he had seen then. So all these people have seen that journey, and it never started the journey never started for my love for films. I discovered my love for films in the way of learning things. And since then we have been doing it. We have been particularly working on recommendations. I recommend one thing every day on my Instagram. It can be a movie, book, music, podcast, art piece. And I have had a streak of 740 days where I have been recommending something every day. And back in the day, it was just movies. Now it is movies, books, music, and everything. And I also have a podcast where I get renowned personalities for their recommendations. I tell them I'm not interested in your life story. Just tell me what you read, what you watch, because that is also a very great way of doing conversations. So yeah, through all this, we have built Chalchitra Talks, and it started in 2018, and it's been good 7 years.
I think just to go back to one point that you had mentioned about the lack of the film print also being a major sort of motivation for you to collect other material, right, that is being called memorabilia. And in my experience too, I feel like some of the most extraordinary work in Indian film history is on films that do not survive, that have completely disappeared, or on figures that have been completely forgotten. A lot of the musical communities that Mysore, even Apostol to a large extent, all these communities, and you have, in the next session, I think Sukhpreet will also be talking to Nand Kishorji and the others, people who have these private obsessions, private fixations around certain figures and how they hunt them down. And it also becomes, my favorite song might not be your favorite song, my favorite music director might not be yours. And then how their hunts for certain holy grails inform this kind of work they do. And that's the most fascinating thing about having the space also to not be burdened by canon, right? To not be burdened by that one film that needs to be restored, that one film that informs everybody's public consciousness, right? So if you could also then, in that regard, both of you then talk about the people that you have spoken to who have informed your understanding of film, of cinema.
So we have a project called Cinema Memory Project, wherein we try to document people who have memories with regard to a lot of, who have lived the whole cinema in a way. So what had happened in one of the interviews with the poster artist, so I had interviewed a poster artist, and his name is Prithvi Soni, and he is one of the R. Kumar's great disciple who had done these paintings and all. So I was actually discussing with him, and I said, sir, what do you do once the banners comes out of the theaters and the film posters which comes out, and these are the materials which you create, and then you put it up in and a lot of art is there in those posters and everything. What do you do thereafter? Then he said, I don't think we do anything. They will take out all these the posters, and then they'll take it to their kholi's in Bombay, and they'll put it up there on the shed, and they'll save themselves from the rains. So that was the state of the posters and the materials and the hoardings which they would prepare, because they had absolutely no and rightly so in a way, because they are not the custodian of the whole history in a way. They were just being one of the, for them it was a commercial art which they would just paint and then they get money out of it. But that is one of the things very interesting, and when I realized that this is how the posters and the hoardings and these things gets, vanished from the whole setup, which becomes, it is actually very, it's very intriguing, at the same time understand whether this is how we preserve our history, or how do we take care of these things, because beautiful arts they make. The whole night they'll be painting those posters, they'll put up on Thursday, the Friday the film comes up, and the next week they'll tear it apart and then put it on their houses over their kholi's, and then save themselves from the rain. So it is actually very disheartening to hear that type of a thing. So that's a very interesting thing which I thought that.
Yeah. And I'm learning about preservation through you guys. I'm still a learner. I also spoke to you at length before we started this. Tell me more about how you guys are doing the preservation. I went to the Cinema Z office yesterday, and I saw it was one of the most beautiful experiences I had, because I saw these, the whole archive that they have of catalogs, film posters, typewriters, radios. I hadn't seen anything like this before. And I myself, I'm learning about all these things through the podcasts I'm doing. I think the best way to listen to a podcast is to host one yourself, so that you can pay attention and ask all the questions. and just talking to film people. Like I told you, Varun Grover had come on my platform. Then he connected me to Mr. Pavan Jha, who was also supposed to be here. He's an amazing person who is doing so much for films, and he's also from Jaipur. So every time I am meeting a film personality, I become a kid and I have a lot to learn right now. So just I submit to the experience.
And there is so much, even when you're talking about the poster, I remember we had, when Anupama, that famous booklet, somebody had pointed out that the design was not from the studio itself, but from the exhibitors, from a theater's painter who had made that design of Anupama. So there are this so many different worlds of stories you can enter through, and not just this one door. That
Yeah, yeah. In fact, the poster is one of the most less spoken about and less studied. That's one place which I feel that art is very much requires a lot of studies in that. And not only the posters are like, we all know that poster is for a town, they would create a one state set of posters, and when it goes to the B town, the poster would be very different. Yesterday I was talking to him and I told him that if it's a star film and wherein, let's say, Rajesh Khanna and Dharmender and everybody is there, and all of a sudden if it is to be shown in Punjab, so Dharmender would come in front and the rest will go behind. You know, so it's actually a very interesting way to see. In fact, a very interesting poster a few days back I saw, and I had quoted to him also. It was the film called Golmaal, and we all know about Golmaal. So we know that there is all the stars which are all around the poster, and in the center the heroine is there. I think Vindhya Goswami is there in the center, and everybody is goal, and they're pointing as a mal to the girl. Okay. So which actually quite weird, but that's how it used to be. It used to sell in the B town and the other towns of India. So these are very interesting things to study, you know. It's also a study for sociology, to how the sociology would evolve. So it gives a lot of spectrum to the whole study. So as cinema is, we all know that cinema is not only about studying the film as such. It gives economic, it shows economic development. Then it also shows, let's say, how we've just curated one program for how Kashmir used to look in films, you know. So if you see Dal Lake, it used to look so different in different films. And there are such beautiful films which has been shot. And that is one thing which I wants that the younger generation, like through him, that they should capture all these informations. Of course, they need an authentic information center from where they can bring all these things. And we all are in the world of digital world and digital economy, which that's the buzzword which we have right now. So if there is a digital economy and we want to, let's say, encash that economy, and it can bring a lot of economic prosperity for our nation, then these informations, a history part of the cinema and an authentic history part of cinema is very important, and then create lot of small stories or whatever format they want to use, and these formats can be used so that people can lot of people can join this whole thing, and we don't limit it to only to the academic center in that sense. Of course, the academic people, they have their own authorities, they need the research to be done. That's a very important part, because we have to build a very important pillar for Indian cinema. And Indian cinema, as we know, if we want to teach Indian cinema in Indian film studies and all, lot of research has to come. And for that, youngsters needs to be intrigued with the newer, interesting information. And the smaller digital mediums like his, he is also having a lot of longish one also. But the smaller
Yes.
things can actually create interest in people so that lot of them join, and then they start watching the old films, and then they go back, and this whole the future gets connected to your past and then the present, so which is a very important part of that. So that's the sphere which thought that let's take it out from the sphere of history and then make it more accessible to people and to the people at large, so that it is disintegrated in the things and it becomes a movement. That's my buzzword in any case.
And you would be surprised to know how many people who are also not from the film industry want the knowledge about the film industry. When we put out our Instagram reels or when we put out our posts, like 19 lesser known films that you need to see, or like when I make a reel about something, people care so much about those things. Like I'll give you a small example. Like last year, sometime back, a Hollywood film called The Wild Robot had come out, and I really wanted to watch it. And Mami was also around the corner then. I was like, I want to watch it before Mami. So I booked my tickets. I went to the theater, but when I was a little late. So there was another guy. I told the guy, hey, like, is the show still on? He's like, yeah, only 5 minutes. I went to the last row. I sat there, and I told the guy started walking towards me. I got afraid, like the only guy is walking towards me. He's like, sir, you are the only person who has come to see the show, so we are canceling the show. I'm like, don't cancel it, don't cancel it. Like I'd been waiting for this movie for so long. And then he's like, no, sir, we need at least 7, 8 tickets. I'll pay for the 8 tickets. He's like, why will you pay? I'm like, because I want to watch the movie. It didn't register to him. And it wasn't a lot. It was 250 rupees. Then I paid for the 8 tickets. And then I told him, start the movie again, no intermission. And he did. And then I made an Instagram reel about this, the whole experience. Uh, it has some 1.5 to 2 million views. The creators of the film reached out in the comments saying, you have no idea what you have done for our film. And it was just one film I had seen. But so many people, like when I meet people, they're like, we have seen Wild Robot because of you. Or another film we have seen because you guys had posted about it in the reel or the carousel post or in the static post. So we are trying to take advantage of all the formats. We do say that the younger generation have ADHD, but you will be surprised to see how many of them are still interested to watch long form podcasts. So we are doing long form podcasts. We are also doing 10-minute videos, 1-minute videos, statics, carousel posts. And people really care about this. They do. And that is why I think we should collaborate more on the things you are suggesting, because the research you guys have done, I think we are nowhere close to that. And when that element also comes in, everyone at the core of it all in our generation wants to be a nerd, even if it is for narcissism, so that they can post about it. But inherently, they want to show the nerdy sides of them. So if we tap into it, nothing like it.
Yeah, I mean, we have a policy at the archives, Salam Ka still follows it, that even if there's just one person, the film with a 330-seater should still be shown. Of course, I mean, when you're talking about reach, and we've had screenings of 35mm screenings of Diwar or Parayanov or Siberiad, 3.5-hour long 35mm screening, where 14 people attend or 13 people attend. So this kind of the link between, being able to talk about these experiences in a public way has so much to do with our film watching experiences also now, it seems like it, That's one thing. The second thing about collaboration, I wanted to ask this question in the end, but because you talked about it now, Vaibhav, is that, when you look at the early days of the archive itself, when it was formed in '64, some of the most amazing, extraordinary work that the archive has done is also in collaboration with historians, with song lovers, with, what they call amateur historians, right? Firoz Rangunwala, Dharap, then your Shankar Jaikishan fans, or people who help in the identification of material. The very famous example we always take of Beguna, where the Shankar Jaikishan fans were searching for Beguna, a print of Beguna, and the archive sort of went through its networks and got a copy for them. Karwane Hayat, 1935 film, where in that case the booklet itself is not giving you the correct answer, but you'll have a bunch of song lovers who will do their own research, and of course there is a lot of maramari and all of that, but you know, in some kind of that sort of love for finding this yes, lost, what is lost, what cannot be found, right? What happens, what I've noticed is, it is so rich, these early periods, or even 60s, 70s and all that, films that are not part of the popular consciousness, right? What happens is, the material that goes viral, so to speak, like when we talk about access is also the concept of access for a public archive, for a private archive, for somebody who is reliant also on views, what access means to you. In that case, when you talk about, there is a lot of material in these eras of film history that are ripe, in a sense, for virality, right? If you look at early cinema or 30s cinema, the images of the female period, completely forgotten, and these images suddenly make their appearance. Yes. I've seen it. They make their appearance recently, Indrani Rahman, then you have Fatma Begum, all of these guys who make their appearance on social media and they are going viral. Okay, you know, it was not as barren, the era was not as barren as you think it was. Look at these gorgeous women, look at the fashion, look at the architecture, look at everything about this image, but they will be misidentified. It's stunning, it's stunning. Fatma Begum is still like a Patience Cooper becomes a Fatma Begum, or Indrani Rahman becomes like a Promila. It is incredible how that gap between something that has the potential to captivate the popular, but the information is so wrong. So in that sense, what do you think about, so when you mentioned that collaboration thing, how do you think we can, like, you know?
Shall I answer this one first? So it's very interesting because I work with younger generation also, and all these younger generation who are like they're in 20s, you know, for them to recognize older people, let's say Fatima Begum, or let's say small characters and all, for them it becomes very difficult because firstly, I think, because when they come from the school, all these film schools from where they have come from, not much emphasis is given on those things, right? So because of that, and it's a very vast subject. So to identify each and every person becomes very difficult, right?
Just to add to that, but for me, like even Gohar Mamaji Wala, one of the biggest stars of Indian cinema.
Yeah.
Ranjit Studio
Ranjit
co-owner, still she's misidentified.
Misidentified. Yeah, absolutely. So on that, during that time, in fact, I normally have my set people with whom, and few of them are sitting here, with whom I normally go back and said, okay, can you identify them? Who are they? Because I don't belong to this industry and I don't have much identification. My team who's there, they are also learning while they are working. So these things do happen. But a very nice thing what I would like to put up here is, there is a organization with whom we are working, and it's a Paris organization. They are creating an artificial intelligence tool wherein it's a face recognition tool basically. And those tools can identify people and it runs in the moving. So that tool will run in the movie, and they have just given us the prototype of it to run for us and then try to identify those faces. And we know that once we are there, and of course people who have seen those films, let's there in their 80s, are there for some time, and within that period, whatever recording we can do, whatever identification we can do, that we can do. But if we don't do it right now, it will be very difficult for the next generation to catch hold of that. That is the thing which we feel that it's very important right now, and the next session is also about that. One of the session which in the next session we will be talking about this only, that how the misinformations are there in the digital world. And suppose tomorrow AI comes and these misinformations are there, Gohar Jan, and so many people, in fact, Mamaji Gohar, Fatima Begum, right? So they are there. If they are misidentified and tomorrow an AI agent comes to here and something, that agent identifies as to be a particular person, it will be very difficult to stop there then. It's going to become very crazy then. So that is we are in that cusp of the time wherein actually we should be doing this. That is why I feel that this collaboration is very important. Of course, if Vaibhav is there are so many of these type of organizations which can come up. So digital medium need to assimilate with the organizations of archivists, because ultimately the AI is coming, the generation is theirs, the future belongs to them. They have to actually take that baton from us. So that is the main theme what we have said about this future of memories. That's the main idea behind it. Okay, I just give it to you.
No,
I think we just have 5 minutes.
Yeah, because this is very important, and AI is something, all the information that AI has is the information we feed to it, right? Like there's a very good film which came out recently about it, Humans in the Loop, produced by Kiran Rao. It is exactly about this dilemma, like a lady having a fight with her manager who wants her to label a certain thing as this is an insect, and she's like, this is not an insect, and they're having a fight. So it has to be the fight on the grassroots level, and that is where like your expertise is needed. And there's this line in Lunchbox, right? People forget about the stories they don't have to share with anyone, and if we don't preserve things right now, it will become really bad. And I told ma'am yesterday about this book which I would recommend to everyone, called The Memory Police. It's a Japanese book. It is about a world where things disappear every week when you wake up. So one day you wake up, the world doesn't have any roses, you don't have any memories of roses, and you don't feel anything about it because you don't have a memory, and the thing becomes non-existent. One day you wake up, postcards do not exist. One day you wake up, film doesn't exist. And slowly, every week, one thing is lessening from the universe. And that is again a reality minutes away or seconds away from us. So this becomes need of the hour, so that memory police doesn't become reality.
Any questions? I guess also because one of the ways to bypass this lack of robust historiography is all these memories are stored in so many people. Dharamsi by one person, and so many people are sitting here, and it's the audio
Absolutely.
history projects are one of the best ways to really talk to them. Any questions?
I was thinking about the poster, what you said. About a few years back, I am one of those people which I will be speaking lately, but I was talking about a poster of Waqt, B.R. Chopra's Waqt, which you showed over here, that, I said, see. So, I was attending a festival of songs, a Delhi base. So, there was a poster पीछे लगा हुआ था, शायर का था show, I think. So I saw that poster of Sunil Dutt with a knife. So I just told that person, because I knew him. So I told him, मैं कहा यार ये क्या है Sunil Dutt के था, whatever little I remember about Waqt is, I have never seen Sunil Dutt with a knife in that. And that उसके अंदर एक बड़ा poster में था कि Waqt, Sunil Dutt with a knife. So I asked him, मैं कहा यार ये क्या है? इसे यार आपको मालूम है ना? कहता छोड़ दो, संदीप जी आप रहने दो, ये बाकी जितने लोग बैठे हैं ना इनको नहीं पता ये क्या बात है. अरे यार मैंने कहा यार ये क्या बात है यार, You are such a responsible organization of this country. And in Delhi, and he just said that. He says, aap rehne do, aap mat karo. So I just wanted to tell that regarding the poster.
I just, very interesting point about the authenticity that you brought up, and that's, I think, the biggest challenge in going back in time. Because I remember a book authored by somebody on Kanan Devi, and the author at the launch of the book has this standee. When I go to Habitat to launch the book, has a standee where the photographer, the poster, standee on the poster is of Devika Rani. So we actually need, so this is absolutely blasphemous, and if an author who has authored Kanan Devi has Devika Rani on the poster of the standee, says a lot about the memory project or whatever, I think that's the kind of memory we don't need, so I just brought it up because that needs to be, there's so much information available online, these extraordinary claims of Kishore Kumar and Mohammad Rafi and Lata Mangeshkar having son 30. It's these need to be documented. How do you go about documenting each and every of these claims that are being made randomly? And these claims on social media have thousands and thousands and thousands of likes. People take them as Bible. This claim that it's almost a झगड़ा between these two factions of Rafi and Lata Mangeshkar कि इसने 30,000 गाए हैं, इसने 25,000 गाए हैं. बट अगर उनका करियर ग्राफ देखोगे उस हिसाब से अगर गाने लगे तो दिन के शायद 8 गाने, 10 गाने, 15 गाने हो जाए. So I think that needs to be addressed when we are addressing stuff around our musical and cinematic heritage.
Thank you, Shantanu. I think that's one thing which I feel Vaibhav has, these things, how to has to cover this one, because now the time belongs to them in a way. We can support.
First of all, I am thankful to Cinemazi for covering my father-in-law for posters. So
We
I have
recorded his father's poster artist.
Yeah. Actually, I was associated to that family since 1979. So I have seen how they used to conceive the concept of posters and hoardings. Posters and hoardings were both different things. Posters means small posters and hoardings means 20 feet or 40 feet. So I used to see him at night. He used to work out on that. He will make a sketch of all those what you call handouts and few things supplied by the distributor, local distributor in Chandni Chowk. So I have seen that process, how we used to conceive, make it out, and used to color. And Madam has already covered him quite exhaustively. So ये सब मैंने देखा है होते हुए यहाँ पर. और one thing I want to emphasize here, he has been telling me that during 1989, some order was passed and all these hoardings were not allowed. So all those studios in Delhi were shut down due to one government order. That is also the 9th memorable year for shutdown of all the studios in Delhi. So this is I wanted to bring out to your notice, what I have seen during 40 years. Thank you.
Hi, I have a question. So, like Vaibhav said about AI, AI is as good as the data you feed in. What efforts are being made to create your own LLMs or databases to maintain the authentic data, and as well as have some authentic podcasters or the information disseminators who are actually doing the research with the authentic information, to include them in that process of training and testing that data, So because we have so many people out there who are actually making a contribution, but they may not all be involved, So what efforts are being done to, get everybody together?
So I think we personally have a research team, and we also are trying to be as authentic as the podcasters as we can be, because again, like the sir said, like there are two fractions who believe in two different realities, and we are also going to the more and more trusted like resources for these things. And that is where, like ma'am was also telling me, a lot of times Wikipedia is also quoting Cinemazi in a lot of things. So this is one thing we are trying, because the next race is also going to be about when you search for something on chat gpt and it gives you 5 answers, what are the resources that chat gpt is taking into consideration? So what are the top resources that ai will also go to like seek? And personally speaking, we don't trust ai in that regard at all right now, because ai is a people pleaser right now. So if you like you say it like you are cheating on your boyfriend, and it will say, I understand, you are right. So AI is trained that way. AI is if you tell AI right now, I committed this murder, I am feeling bad, AI will tell you, hey, I understand what you're going through, it's completely okay. AI is right now trained to justify any action you do. So one thing we try to do right now is not to depend on it. We definitely use AI in a lot of things, but then we have our own layers of like monitoring to make sure that the authenticity is there. Right now the authenticity is not there, and they are focusing on all the wrong things. They are now focusing on the removing the M dashes in text, because if there is an M dash in text, people can tell it is AI. So yesterday only Sam Altman said we are removing M dashes, so it will convolute the reality and the AI even more. So as much as possible, I would go to like resources such as Cinemazi for information. And the best would be if Cinemazi comes on AI. If like someone is searching something on AI, the first like the link that comes in is of Cinemazi. So I don't know how that happens, but that is something we can work towards.
So I have to share a secret on that. So basically, I did attend a 3-hour AI session, and in that session, in fact, I learned all the AI tools, how to use those agents, and how to make an AI agent for yourself. Yeah. So that was something which I learned. And after that, then I wrote to them and I asked them, can you teach me, or can you help me in in the archiving sector? If I can create an agent for an archivist, then it was an answer which was a negative. So I think we haven't reached that stage yet. But yes, it needs to be explored. Everybody has to keep learning AI, because that is the way forward. And we might say it has its own problem, but then that's unavoidable. So it has to be done.
I think you should launch your own AI also, Cinemazi AI. That is.
So if anybody wants to fund me, please. No.